Good evening, everybody. So, this is not my normal type of video, and this is something that I have been contemplating for a long time as things have continued to grow out of hand in the Micah Miller incident. For those that remember, I initially got involved in Micah Miller's case when I put an offer out on TikTok to the family that I would look into the case using our expertise and my team. Eventually, I was put in contact with Mr. Francis and did an investigation. The purpose of this video is to kind of give you guys an insight into that investigation, our final findings, our concerns, the next steps, and then an offer for victims out there. So, I'm going to preface this by saying, obviously, that this video is for non-commercial purposes. Only a few select individuals have been allowed to share this for commercial purposes. Everybody else, you can share it freely as long as it's for non-commercial purposes. I expect everybody to remain respectful in the comments, or I will disable them. Please, if you want to discuss amongst yourselves, I'm fine with that. Be respectful. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I don't want to drag this video out. We only focused on the death investigation itself and the scene itself. And that also included doing scenarios and reenactments remotely with whatever information we had. We also reviewed the entire Robeson County Sheriff's Office report. We also attempted to interview witnesses and individuals that had information. We reviewed limited photographs as well as the ME report and medical records. So with that said, based on our findings, our expertise, and all the above, we determined that the manner of death was undetermined. Therefore, we could not agree with Robeson County's finding of a unaliving, nor could we rule out a harmful incident. The reason for that is a multitude of issues. The biggest issue we encountered during our investigation was third-party interference in relation to witnesses who were involved in the investigation. Now, of course, I'm not going to put out any names here. That is not my place, and that is not the purpose of our investigation. However, during our investigation, we uncovered some really serious things that made us question a lot of what was going on, and one of the reasons why we backed out. And of course, we have the text messages to Mr. Francis to back this up, was because of these issues. And one of those issues was that we determined during the investigation that individuals were harassing, intimidating, threatening, sending threatening messages, threatening phone calls, death threats to witnesses in Micah Miller's case, to the point that they did not want to be involved or talk with anybody else in the investigation, including our team. Which, as you may know, really hampers efforts to conduct a thorough investigation. The other issue that we uncovered is that Robeson County did not conduct a thorough investigation whatsoever. There were issues that we found from the investigator's standpoint that showed they did not meet what I would believe, in my opinion, their statutory obligation as medical examiners and medical examiner investigators. I also don't believe that the Sheriff's Office did as thorough of investigation as they could have done. Again, because our findings are undetermined, I cannot tell you whether or not that would have impacted the findings. However, based on our review of the reports and the information that we have, there were shortcomings in the investigation, including not conducting an autopsy, which should have been done, and there should not have been any question as to conducting an autopsy. Now, granted, the cause of death was a GSW. However, autopsies are very, very important to determine trajectory and other things that could have ruled out external influence. Going back to the third-party interference, one of the major things that we uncovered, at least was even more criminal, was that we found out that an individual who, obviously Micah Miller's husband, we found out during our investigation that somebody had installed a GPS tracker in his vehicle and were following him around and videotaping him. And at some point, we were contacted to determine whether or not we had any involvement with that. And of course, we did not, because GPS installation, at least in Florida, is illegal. And it's unethical in most other places. However, somebody had installed a GPS tracker on his vehicle. and had been following him around and then posting videos on social media. That was another thing that we saw going on during our investigation, and it made us kind of take a step back, and we're like, do we really want to be involved with this kind of stuff? Now, obviously, I'm not going to put any names out there. Those issues have been handled, are being handled. There are reports for that. I can tell you that the GPS was recovered. But there's a lot of issues that kind of prevented our ability to get factual information during the investigation. Now, we also did run scenarios. Some of you guys may remember that there was shell casings found on scene, including two spent shell casings, and then a unfired projectile. We were able to determine that one of the shell casings was actually a old shell casing that had actually been on the property in the state forest for quite a while. It was unrelated to the investigation. The other round was just a ejected round that was unfired, and then obviously the spent shell casing appeared to have come from the firearm in question. Based on our scenarios, we determined that the unspent projectile either could have been dropped from the magazine accidentally, or it could have been accidentally cycled, not realizing the chamber was already loaded. We also attempted to do a scenario reconstruction on the body ending up in the water. Based on limited information, we could not come up with a viable scientific-based scenario as to how that could happen. Based on our own research, we were able to determine that either A, the initial GSW was not immediately fatal, or this could have been a staged incident. And again, that goes back to why this was undetermined. We explained all of this to the family and explained to them that, because of all these issues really stemming from the police department and culminating through the third-party interference, it really prevents justice or real answers from being found. And it's heartbreaking, but again, this is the line of work that we're in, and if there's too much interference, it's hard to get straight answers. Now, what does that mean for the future? Well, again, everybody's opinion as to what justice is going to be different. And I'm not going to tell anybody what I think they should or should not do. This is no way an attempt to dissuade anybody from doing anything that they want to do. I think justice comes in many, many different types of forms, and ultimately it's up to you to decide in yourself what form of justice you think is appropriate, for this. The only thing I have to say is remind you that nobody has been arrested in this case. Nobody has been charged with the crime. Everybody is considered to be innocent until proven guilty. And that's just how the laws work in America. Now, with that said, it does open up a bigger issue of, mental health and domestic violence, both for females and for males. And we talk a lot about females, but as a male myself, I also want to talk about males. And this is not to talk down to any female, and this is not to say that females don't have more issues than we do. But I think it's equal for everybody, and I think we all should come up and be equal with each other. And so if anybody is in Florida, because I'm limited to Florida, if you guys are a victim of domestic violence, you don't know where to turn, you need help, if there's anything I can do as a PI, please reach out to me. My messages are always open. If I can point you in the right direction, I will point you in the right direction. I'm not an attorney, so I can't give you legal advice, but I know plenty of attorneys. I'll point you to an attorney that can help you, or I'll guide you on what to do for, maybe, trying to get restraining orders and things like that. Please reach out to me. My inbox is always open. I'll message you back when I can, and, I'll help you out if I can help you out. So, again, guys, this is my final on this case. The drama's getting out of hand, and even though I may stir the pot sometimes, this is a very, very serious matter, and it was always a serious matter, and I think it was the time for you guys to realize what we had done and the reason why we stepped back. So, as always, guys, much love, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night.